Hello guys and welcome. I know it's been a while, but I'm super excited because I'm here. I'm trying to record videos again, and I promise I won't stop doing. I will try to cover different stuff from AI to Azure to XR and everything. So today I'm here to talk about something that was launched a couple of weeks ago, which is the Azure Developer Cli. Okay. So before jumping into what is that, I wanted you guys to know that I have been a Windows user since I was 15 years old, which is a long time. But 2 months ago, I decided to jump into MacBook or Mac OS operating system. So I'm learning a lot, and one of the things that I didn't use, but right now I'm trying to jump on that, is Azure Cli. As you know, the Azure portal is a great tool. It is friendly, it is easy to use, but sometimes we need something more suitable if we want to create multiple resources, and that's what the Azure Cli is going to help us with. But the other thing is that the Azure Cli is one of the requirements in order to install the Azure Developer Cli. So before jumping into the Developer Cli, I wanted to make sure that you guys know, in case you are like me, getting into Mac, know exactly how to install the Azure Cli. So let me go ahead and here, and as you can see, I'm in the Microsoft documentation for installing the Azure Cli on Mac OS. So my advice is go to Homebrew. As you can see here, you have the link. Go to the home page and just run this command on your terminal. That will install Homebrew on your terminal, and then you will be able to install, by just running this command, the Azure Cli. Now you will know that the Azure Cli is installed in your computer. One second, because I want to try this. You will know if you just type AZ and you get the amazing Azure word written on your terminal. That means that you have everything installed correctly on your computer. I have another thing running over there, but I will show you that in a moment. So now we have the Azure Cli installed. Now this thing that was launched, which is the Azure Developer Cli, is a new open source tool that will accelerate the time it takes to get started on Azure. So it will provide you a developer-friendly command that map to key stages in your workflows. For example, the code, the build, the deploy, the monitor, and the repeat. Now, it's important you don't confuse Azure Developer Cli with Azure Cli. Even though they are both command line tools, they help you do different tasks. The Azure Developer Cli, which is the new one, focuses on only the developer workflow. So the tool aims to accelerate the time that it takes from you to get from your local development environment to the cloud. Now, the Azure Cli, we know that it helps us with provisioning, managing Azure resource. It also helps us with configuration and pipeline automation, and a lot of more stuff, but those are the main difference. Okay. It's important to know that. Now that we understand the difference, I mentioned that one of the requirements in order to install the Azure Developer Cli was to have the Azure Cli installed. So now that we have in this Mac the Azure Cli installed, let's go ahead and take a look at the Azure Developer Cli requirements. So as you can see, we will get into what it is, these development environments. But as you can see, you need to have GitHub Cli, Azure Cli, which we already have, and Node.js with npm in the case you want to work with the bare metal environment. Now, if you want to work with the dev container, we have to have the Azure Developer Cli, the Docker desktop, and the remote container VS Code extension. So now, what are these environments? In the documentation, you will see that you have two important things that you need to understand. First of all, are the supported languages at the bottom, you will see that you have the 4 supported languages. Right now, the only ones that are available are Node.js, Python, and .NET. Java is still not available, but it's coming soon. The other thing that you need to understand is the development environment. So you have the bare metal, which is not in a container, and you have control in all of all the dependencies, but of course you have to install all the dependencies. But you also have the dev container environment, which of course is a container with all the dependencies installed and run on your local machine. But of course it takes a lot of time to actually work with the initialization of this container. Then we have a third environment, which is the GitHub code spaces, but this is coming soon. So we will keep an eye on when this is coming. I'm really excited about that one. And other important thing is that the team launched a group of templates that you can use in order to take advantage of the Azure Developer Cli. You can see in here that they have the 3 supported languages, which are Node.js, Python, and C#, and you have the templates available with different app hosts that you have, for example, Azure App Service, Container, Static Web Apps, or Functions. But if you want to take a look at exactly what they have, you can go to github.com/topics AZD templates, which has all the list of templates. They have 11 public repositories, and I saw a Twitter just a couple of seconds ago about soon coming new templates. But you can see here that you have all the list of templates that you have on the documentation. But if you take a look at, you have only 3, 6, 7 templates in here, but you have in here 11 public repositories. So I think that yes, this is the one. Take a look at this. I just saw at Twitter that this was a new template. So C# function application with Azure Service Bus. So this is the thing why I prefer to go to the GitHub link, because sometimes the documentation doesn't have the latest updates on these ones. But hey, this is amazing. We have a new template, and probably we will have a lot of more templates in the future. Yes, they are all from Azure samples. Okay, great. So now, how do I install the Azure Cli? If you go to get started, you will see that you have, first of all, you need to choose your programming language, but then you have the possibility to install the Azure Cli, in this case with this command line. So now I already have it installed. And now how can you use it? So you have the possibility to use it with the terminal. In here, for example, there is this one that, as you can see, this is the command that it's telling you, okay, I want to use the Azure Developer Cli to add, and I want to use the template to do Node.js Mongo. Okay, so once you run that on the terminal, it will request for you to put the environment name that you want to use, the Azure location where you want to host, and also the subscription that you want to use. Okay, now there is one little bug over there, that you cannot put an uppercase letter in as part of the environment name. I don't know if they fixed it, but when I used it doing my research, they didn't have it, so I didn't use it for the demo either. So as you can see here, I already have I run exactly the same command in here, and this is what happened. So it initialized the project, and it asked me for the environment name, which I put it. I selected the Azure location, which is South America, because I'm in Argentina, and also I selected my Azure subscriptions. Then it also told me that I could be the detailed progress in that Azure portal link. So as you know, when you create a resource on Azure, it kind of appears like this one, and it says, okay, doing deployment or something like that. It will give you the update over there also. But what else do we have in here? So it says, okay, I created the Azure resources, I deployed the service API, And here you have the endpoint. I also did the service web, and here you have the endpoint. And you can see the resource created under the resource group to do demo Ivana, which was the name that I put it to my project, resource group RG in Azure portal. So it created absolutely everything. So now it gives me the URL. Let's go ahead and paste it. It gives me the URL of the Azure resource in which it created all the information that I just requested. Great. So now what? You can do it over here, but there is another possibility to use it, to do it using Visual Studio Code, which is more friendly user, especially if you don't like to work with the terminal, and where you will have the information on how to install and everything. You can go to run and debug. I will put the links of everything in this video, and in here you can choose which one is your development environment. For example, if you want to use Visual Studio Code, or if you want to use Visual Studio. In my case, I selected Visual Studio Code, and you have in here all the requirements in order to install it on Visual Studio Code. As you can see, are the same that when you will use the environment. And also you have in here the requirement to use the extension for Visual Studio. So it has an extension. Let's go ahead and take a look at which one is it. So it's called Azure Developer Cli, which is in preview, but you can already install it on your Visual Studio Code. And after that, let's go ahead and take a look at here. So I have in here I have already installed the extension, and you can see I have a folder, an empty folder. But as you can see here, if you type Azure Developer, you can see here all the different commands that you have available. So in this case, let's go ahead and initialize a new application, and take a look at this. You have in here all the templates that I just showed you on GitHub, okay? And you can go ahead and select whatever you want. For example, let's select the same one we picked before this one, and we selected the MongoDB. The to do Mongo with Node.js, and it's doing exactly the same. So I'm trying to explain that this is actually doing the same that the terminal is doing. So I'm going to please enter a new environment name. So to do demo to Eva. I said lowercase because I still don't know if the bug was fixed. This is the same thing that I got into the terminal, in which I needed to select a location. I selected South America, so Brazil, and then you can select a subscription. So I select the three of them, and this will start doing exactly the same that my terminal was doing over here. So you will see that this will create the Azure resources, this will deploy the service API, this will deploy the service web, and finally will let me know which one is the resource group that is hosting all the things that I need in order to finish working with this. Okay, so that's it. So I will make a pause because this takes a while, and we will see what's next. Great, guys, so it finished, and as you can see, it has exactly the same structure. It is actually executed the same thing. So it already launched my service web, my service API, and it created my resource group in Azure. Okay, now what comes with the templates now, because that's another thing. In the template you have all the information, for example, the Docker file in case you need. Also you have like the infrastructures, all the information. The infrastructure, you have in here the main bicep, you have the parameters that you want to consider, and that's it. The other thing, important thing that you also probably would like to know about Azure Developer Cli is that you can monitor your project, you can run and debug it, all these things, and also you can, in case you don't want to use the templates, you can also make your own project compatible with Azure Developer Cli. So you probably don't need to know much more about deeply about what you are pushing to Azure, because Azure Developer Cli takes care of everything. So it was nice to talk to you again, guys. I promise, as I said, I will be back more frequently, and see you later.